What's up, guys? This is your boy DZD, aka the Drink Kang, Purple World Entertainment, and you are live inside the Dungeon Palace Studios once again. Thank you guys so much for clicking on the video. Thank you guys so much for checking out the channel. If you are new here for the first time, join the family, click that subscribe button, and also click that bell notification so you can get notified every single time I drop videos just like this one. I have a nice video for you guys today. I'm gonna get into how I use a technique that I learned called group mixing. This is a technique that requires a very good ear, and it requires you to shift your focus from detailed to general mixing because you'll be mixing groups instead of individual tracks. So you have to kind of shift your focus a little bit, that way you can understand the concept of this. But it's a really good trick that I was taught a long time ago, and it helps me out when I'm mixing my beats. So I want to take you guys inside of the software, that way I can show you exactly how I implement this group mixing technique and get my beats to sound nice. So without saying too much, let's jump inside the software so I can show you how I mix this beat. Let's do it. All right, guys, we are live inside of the Reaper software, and I'm gonna take you through just these little tips and tricks on how to mix groups instead of individual sounds. This is something that I learned from one of the engineers I used to work with a while back. I was working under him, and he taught me how to mix in groups instead of mixing individual sounds. And one of the things that he taught me about this particular method is to make sure that you always have to have good sound that's coming into your software. Meaning that the reason why you have to mix individual tracks is because you have to fix things on those individual tracks. You have to fix things on your kick drum. You have to fix things on your snare drum. You have to fix things on your hi-hats. You have to fix things on there. So you want to process those individually. But if you notice, you guys see me in my videos, I process my individual tracks in the MPC software. You see me processing, putting a little bit of this on that track, putting a little bit of this on that track, doing this to that track. So I make sure that I have great sound coming out of my MPC software into this DAW because I want to mix in groups. I don't want to affect individual tracks anymore. That's what the MPC software is for. I drag all my stems in it. I'm able to apply this group mixing method and make sure all of my tracks sound nice. So that's the trick to doing this. If you try and do this and you don't have good sound, good individual sound, this may not come out right for you. But if you have good sound that's coming into your software, your drum sounds are nice, you've got some really good sample packs, and the sound that you have, the instruments that you have are really nice, and you don't need to process too much of them individually. You can route them to groups, and then you can process your tracks as groups. So that's what I'm going to be showing you guys here. Okay, if you notice, up here, I'm going to take you through the track right here. Let's play it first. That way you guys can get an idea of what's going on. All right, real nice melodic track. So if you notice up here, this first track is INSTMTS. That's the instrument track. These three instruments, that's all I have, just this high sample, low sample, and piano melody. All three of these instruments are going to this instrument folder right here. So that's my group. That's my instrument group. I can process that group on its own. And then I have the same thing for my drums. All of these drum sounds right here, all down the line, all of these drum sounds right here are going to this drum folder right here. So I can process all of my drums as a group through this folder. And that's what I'm going to be showing you. Now, after I route all of these to their different folders, I take the folders now and route both of the folders down here to the mix bus. Now I can affect both of these groups in one individual group on a mix bus. Both of these tracks, the drum track and the mixer track, are now playing through this mix bus. I can affect those as a group. So now I have all of my sounds grouped out to where I can start affecting all of these tracks as individual groups instead of individual tracks. That's the group mixing technique. So let's pull up the mixer. And this is how we're going to see everything. The mixer just shows us where we are with everything. So this is the instrument track right here in blue. This is our drum track in blue. Man, emails, always emails. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I did with the drum track. Let's solo that first. Let's go to the drum track. All of these drum sounds are running through this drum folder right here. So what I want to do first and foremost is I have my 808 and my kick. I want the low end of that 808 and kick to shine. I don't want anything inside of that low end. When you have all of these drum sounds on a track and they're all playing, they start to build up in that low end area. I want to clear all of those sounds out in a group. I don't want to put an EQ on each sound and take out any low end if it has. I routed that all to what I call my carve track right here. This is the carve track. And the reason why I call it a carve track is because I'm going to carve out the low end of all of these sounds that don't need it, just so the low end of my 808, my kick, can shine. So the way I do that is I highlight all of these tracks, make sure they're all highlighted, and then I route them all to this carve track right here. And to do that, all you do is just grab it and with the patch cable right here and just drop it down right here, and you're going to route all of the tracks to it. So now that we're going through the carve track right here, now it's almost like I took all of these sounds right here and kept them safe from my 808 and my kick. If I didn't, then I would affect the 808 and the kick. I don't want to affect the 808 and the kick. I want to keep those safe, and then I want to affect just all of these sounds right here. So now I can do that in a group. So I throw an EQ on the carve track, and I carve out all of the low end. Let's bring it back, and you're going to be able to see just a little bit of low end that comes up in this area right here. See, it's not much, but it's in that 200 range. So I want to carve that out right at about 400. It's not that much, but sometimes you'll have it go even to 800 to 80 to 100. You'll have some sounds there. So you want to carve all of that out. And if I solo that carve track, you're going to notice it drops the 808 and the kick out of it because that's not playing through the carve track. Let's solo that. So that just serves as a guide, just so you don't have any of that low end run into your 808 and your kick. It just serves as a guide. So that's how I affect the groups of my high end drum sounds and leave the low end alone. So now that I have that high end drum sound carve track out of the way, I affected that group. Now I want to affect all of the drums, all of them, including my kick drum and my 808. So that's what this drum group is for. We're going to affect that group now. And I do that with the CLA 2A. I throw that on there. And this makes sure that I have some nice punchy drums. They're not masked with anything, or they're not too muffled. We're going to solo just the drums. Okay, and this is without. So you can instantly tell what that CLA 2A does for the drums. It instantly brings it out, and I'm able to do that by affecting this whole entire group. And it keeps the drums in a nice punchy feel, and it also keeps them from going past a certain threshold. I only want my drums to peak at a certain level. I don't want them to go too much up because I want to still leave some headroom for my final mixing. So if you notice, it only brings the drums to a certain peak. It's like it keeps it right at that 6 dB mark, which gives me a lot of headroom to work with. So that's what this compressor is doing. If you notice, we affect first our high-end drums in a group with our carve track, and now we're affecting all of the drums in a group with our drum group. So that's the whole purpose of this technique, to affect groups of tracks. That way you can come out with a nice solid mix. Now we're going to go over to the instruments, and I'm going to show you what I did for those. Just 3 instruments, so it was very easy. The only thing that I have going on by itself is just the SSL compressor on the low sample track right here. And that's the only thing that I have going individually. And the reason why I always put it on the low sample track is because I always use the low sample for the artist's verse. The verse part of the track, I have the low sample running. I don't want the high sample playing because the high sample is going to mask their voice. Their voice sits in that frequency. So I always put a low sample in there. That way when their voice comes in, I can let the low sample run and their voice sits on top of that. But the low sample sometimes is a bit too muffled. So this SSL compressor brings that out really, really nice. We're going to play that by itself. Let's play that by itself. And that way you can get an idea of what it's doing. If you notice, it's giving me about 4 dB of gain reduction, and then I kind of bumped it back up with the makeup gain. But that's what I wanted to do. I kind of wanted to brighten out the low end of the sample. That way, it's not too low when the artist comes in. So let's play that with the drums. So this will be the verse of the track. And that's all that I have affecting. Now we're going to affect the group of these tracks. And I have another SSL compressor on that group. And all this compressor is doing is just keeping the peaks from going haywire. Just a little light compression that's keeping the peaks from going haywire in these other instruments. And the trick is I don't have too much makeup gain on that, because if I do, then it's going to make it like that other compressor to where it's going to be a little bit louder than what I want. So you don't have too much makeup gain. Whenever you're trying to tame some peaks, then lay off the makeup gain. That way it doesn't make it too loud. So all of these tracks are being affected here. And then what I usually do is I usually take my Lofticus EQ. This is a good EQ to use to affect sections of a mix. You know, it has it all in hertz, 40, 160, 640, 25. So this is high end right here, high end mids, and then you got your low end right here. So I'm gonna just affect just the mids of the track. There you go. And I just bumped up just the highs just to kind of give it a little bit of a shine. So I'm affecting, again, these 3 groups, not individual tracks, just a group of these tracks to make it sit well in the mix. Now that I've got my drum group under control, I've gotten my instrument group under control, and also I've done my carve group to where I carved out all of the low end from those high end drum sounds. Now I want to affect the group entirely, the whole entire track. And that's why I have this drum group and this instrument group going to the mix bus group. Now I can affect the whole entire track, still affecting groups. So I have the SSL compressor once again, and this is just going to glue everything together. But the way that I use this compressor is I put it on the mastering preset right here. And the mastering preset is going to kind of give it a little bit of a jump without making it too loud. It's just going to give it a little bit of a jump and just a little bit compression. So check that out. Okay, now after the compressor, I had to put some saturation on it. Saturation is very huge when it comes down to mixing your entire track. The reason why is because if you notice the wave file, whatever you render out your track, sometimes the wave file is a little bit thin. That saturation is the trick to making that wave file beefy. It's gonna put texture behind all of your sounds, behind a whole group of your sounds, and it's almost like it's gonna take your sound and amplify it just a little bit by emphasizing all the harmonics in it. And that's what's gonna give you that nice beefy fat track that you need. So I put about a little bit over 50% saturation on the track, and it bumped it up to the level that I needed to be. And then after that, I pulled up the Lofticus EQ again, because remember, I'm affecting the group. So I just wanted to make sure that I drown out any of the resonant frequencies that build up in a whole track. And also I bumped up the highs to give the track that shine. And that's how I affect my mix bus group. Very simple. All I'm doing is just compressing it a little bit to make sure I'm taming the sound, giving it some saturation. That way it kind of amps up everything and gives me that full sound that I need. And then I go ahead on and I put on the EQ and kind of sweep around for some of those resonant frequencies that I don't want inside of the track. And then I give it a little shine at the end. That way the track is nice and bright. All you do is think groups. That's the trick to this whole entire process. If you think groups, you're going to think affecting things largely instead of affecting just some little small things. So now the only thing that's missing on my mix bus is just the limiter. So let's go on and grab that. My limiter here. Now I'm not going to set the limiter right now. You know, simply because if you notice, I still haven't arranged the track yet. I'm just mixing this entire loop, which that's what I do. I mix a loop first, and then after I mix the loop and I'm done with the mix, now I arrange everything on how I want it to go, and I adjust a few things accordingly. But I'm not going to set the limiter just yet because I do that at the end, you know, but that's the only thing that's left is just for me to set the limiter, make sure everything is set nice with that, and then I go ahead on and print out my my final mix. Now, one thing that I want to make clear is after I'm done, I have the mix bus down here. After I'm done, I run this mix bus to the print track. The print track is where I print my mix. I don't render it out from the master fade. I actually print it on a track. And the reason why I print it on a track is so I can have different mixes if I want. And one thing that helps me out with is when I put my beat tag on the track, that's the one that I use the limiter on, because that's the one that I want full, I want bright, I want it to its max sound. That's kind of like my showcase beat. You know, if I want to put it on any social media, put it anywhere, that's the track that I use because it's nice and bright with the limiter. And then I print another track without the tag and I take the limiter off. That's the actual artist track. I can't put a limiter on the track that goes to the artist because once it's time to mix, the track is going to be limited. Now they have no room for their vocals on it. It's just not going to work. Two masters won't make a right. So I take the limiter off. I make sure they have 5 to 6 dB of headroom. That way the artist vocals can go on it. I can mix the track nice and good and everything comes out nice. So that's pretty much it. You know, affecting groups, it kind of helps you mix your track to a point to where you don't have to spend time messing with individual tracks. But remember, the way to do this is to have great sound going into your software. If you can have great sound going in, then you won't have to affect those individual tracks. Look at the mixer. I have nothing on my drum tracks. Nothing. No effects, no nothing. All of that affecting, all of that detail work was done inside of the MPC software. And then I didn't have to do much inside of the MPC software because I use my own drum kit, which the sounds are already mixed already. So I don't have to mix those sounds further anymore. They're already nice sounds. For those of you guys that went purchase the Dungeon drum kit, you guys should know that those drums are well mixed, and you'll pretty much just have to level them in your beat and probably do just some light carving out of some frequencies. That's about it, but you won't have to do too much to them. So that's the trick in this whole thing. If you can get good sound coming out of it into your software, you can apply this group mixing technique, and I promise you your sounds are going to always come out hot. There you have it, guys, the group mixing technique in a nutshell. This is a technique that if you're perfected and you have nice sounds that's going to your groups, I can guarantee you it will save a lot of time on mixing beats. If I know I have nice sounds that are already on their individual tracks, all I do is route that to some groups, and now I'm ready to start mixing group sounds instead of individual tracks. Now I can mix 10 beats a day, 20 beats a day if I want, because the process goes along quickly and I still get the same exact sound in every single beat. If you guys got any value from this video, make sure you smash that thumbs up button, and also drop me a comment below if you have any questions on what you saw in this video. I'll try and help you guys out as much as I can. If you guys want those type of hot sounds that you don't have to do too much processing to, you guys already know that you can hit up my sound kit store on my website and you can grab some nice hot drum sounds and some nice hot sample packs. And these sounds are really clear, really crisp, and you'll have no problem with implementing this same technique when you make your beats. Don't forget to drop your boy a follow on Instagram at the Drink King, and also check out the new Instagram page at Purple World Beats to see some of our snippets from the beats that I make. That's my time, guys. This is the kid DZD, aka the Drink King, Purple World Entertainment, live from the Dungeon Palace Studios, and I will check you guys in the next video. Peace out.
Purple World. Purple World made that.